Today we are going to be preparing authentic Ghanaian Banku and Okra stew. Stick and stay if you want to see more.
It's been a minute. This is your girl SHEJACKIESAYS, and you're all welcome back to the SJS vlog where we talk about fashion, lifestyle, and entertainment.
FJ.
So today,
with the strength of a woman, SHEJACKIESAYS. With the power of a woman, SHEJACKIESAYS.
What's cooking, was popping, SJS Nation, SJS fam. In fact, today we are going to be cooking the first time on my channel. Actually, if you're new here, my channel is not about cooking, but we do lifestyle, DIY, entertainment, travel, and what have you. Today, I want to show you guys all how I prepare my authentic Ghanaian okra stew and banku. We're going to be starting with the stew. So I'm just alone, as you guys know. You can see the background, I'm in school, so I'm preparing for myself alone. I'm preparing for just one individual, which is myself. And let me not do my talking in here, let's just get right into it. I don't know how I'm going to do this cooking and so let's just get right into it, because we're going to prepare banku and the stew this morning. So let's just get right into it. Okay, the fam, so this is the okra, and this is the tomato, and this is the garden egg. This is what we are mainly going to be using for our okra stew. And we have our onions here, we have garlic, we have ginger, and we have a few spices. This is what I'm going to be using to marinate my... I'm not using chicken, so what I'm using in here is goat intestine. In our local language, it's called yamade. I'm not really a fan of fish, so this is what I'll be using. Normally I use either goat or yamade. Then this is kako in our local language. This is kako, as I have in here. I'll show you guys. This is kako, and I have momoni in here. I also have momoni in here. This is what I have too. And this is also the small red oil that we are going to be using to prepare our mini okra stew. So without wasting my time, let's just get right into it. I've already washed them. It's left with the onion, so let me just steam the intestines first. I have my ginger, garlic, and onion in here to blend and just steam it with the intestines. After blending these stuffs, I just add them to the goat intestine, and I just add it to heat and wait for a while for it to cook thoroughly. These are also the spices that I add to it. This is remy, garlic, ginger, and I have the mixed spices. Then this is our local onga, maggi. That is the spices that I'll be using, and of course I would definitely add salt to it. While our meat is being cooked, I use that time to slice my onions and other stuffs that I would need for the okra stew. That is the onion, the tomatoes, and I also wash the kako and the momoni that I'll be using. Probably be wondering why I use less tomatoes in here to make the okra stew more slimy, because when you use a lot of tomatoes, it makes the okra less slimy. After slicing up my garden egg, I moved to the okra. Now with the okra, I normally grate some, then I slice some, because normally when the okra is too small, I wouldn't want to grate all, because after the end I would have a small quantity of it. So this is me slicing the rest up. I left a few. The next thing I do is to check my meat app. And just a little disclaimer, the goat intestine is quite hard, so it takes a very long time for it to cook, for it to become very soft to my liking. Now after this, I put the okra on fire with just a little bit of water. I just put it on fire for it to boil up a little bit. Then I take it off. Cooking the okra in here would prevent the sliminess, so just heating it just a medium or low heat. After that, you just take it off and you continue with preparing the actual okra stew itself. With my red oil already on fire, the first thing I do is add my kako and my momone to the oil, and then I would add the onion to let it fry up a little bit before I continue the process. The next thing I would add is pepper. Now, I really love pepper. If you know me very well, I can't cook my food without adding excess pepper. So I even add pepper without measuring its quantity in here. So after adding the pepper, I also leave it for it to fry up with the onion and the rest. After that, I add my tomatoes to it. When it's 2 to 3 minutes, I will then add my goat's intestine to the stew. After some few minutes, that was like about 5 to 7 minutes, I come to add the okra to it. Now, in stirring the okra, you realize that I was taking my time to do it, because if I don't take my time, it will become less slimy. And the secret of okra stew becoming more tasty is its sliminess. That is, it needs to be very slimy. And yeah, so basically this is it. I just leave it on a low heat. I really lower my gas cylinder now, lower it, leave it there for a while for it to cook thoroughly, and you have your okra stew. So some people, when they just add the okra, after 1 minute they just take it off and it's cool. So it all depends on how you want it. Finally, we are done with the okra stew. Without wasting my time, let's get to the banku itself. We would need dadisen, and in English it's called cauldron. We would need kondo, cassava dough. We would need water. We would need salt, and not forgetting a wooden spatula in our local language, which is called bankuta. After having our basic items ready, the first thing we will do is add the corn dough and cassava dough and mix it up by adding water to it. When mixing it, you need to mix it in the local way, that is by using your hands to mix it. When mixing the banku, you will definitely come across some particles inside. You just take them out. As you can see, whilst mixing them out, it wouldn't be all that smooth. So when you realize you see some stuffs whilst mixing the corn dough and cassava dough, you take them out because it would affect you whilst you are stirring your banku. Of course, I've just remembered that you would need a hook. That is the metal thing which is attached to the cauldron. That is what is going to support me in preparing this Ghanaian Banku. So after everything is settled, I just have to stir with my wooden spatula. Stir thoroughly. I should just use the same routine as I'm using. So you realize I'm going from left to right in a circular motion. Just use that and just continue stirring till it becomes a bit harder for me to stir it well. You might probably be wondering why I'm using the gas cylinder. I'm in school, and using the coal pot itself, I can't carry coal pot from my house and bring it to school to use, and the gas is quite convenient for me. But sometimes it's very dangerous when I'm cooking it with banku because there is so much heat being used on this cylinder, and sometimes I'm even afraid that it would overheat and something might even happen. But all the same, the authentic way for cooking banku is by using the coal pot, but now there are other advanced ways of cooking the banku. Stirring it in that circular motion that I started with, I realized that the banku was heating up and it was forming, so I had to change direction. And you would also need water by your side when preparing banku, because you would realize that some would just splatter by the side of the cauldron and you need to clean it whilst you are cooking. And you can't just use your hands, you need a cold water by your side to touch to help aid in preparing the banku. After minutes of stirring, you realize that it's becoming a bit harder. So the next thing I do is I add water, but mostly I add hot water. But this time around, my cassava dough was much more than my corn dough, so which is making my banku here much softer. So I just had to add normal cold water to it to continue with cooking my banku. Whilst waiting for the water I added to boil up, these are the rubbers that I'll be placing the banku inside. So I just need to get them into the required state that I would need after I'm done preparing the banku. This is the first stirring after I added water, and this stirring requires a lot of effort because this is when the banku becomes hard, so you need to stir to get your smooth texture that you want. So this is what I'm doing right now, stirring thoroughly till I get the smooth nature that I want it to be. After that, if I still want to add water, I could. It depends on the texture that you want, but I really love banku, which is very soft, so I still have to add water anyways and still go through the same process. I just leave it there for it to boil, then come back later on to stir. After about 40 to 1 hour, my banku is finally ready. So the rubber that I wanted to get them into sizable state, this is it. I just place this in the round bowl that I have, and I just get the size of the banku that I want, and I wrap it up, and I have my banku for storage. So let's just enjoy this.
SHEJACKIESAYS, everywhere she goes, every day SHEJACKIESAYS. With the strength of a woman, SHEJACKIESAYS. With the strength of a woman, SHEJACKIESAYS. With the power of a woman, SHEJACKIESAYS. Everywhere she goes, every day SHEJACKIESAYS. Looking so fly, SHEJACKIESAYS. Young YouTuber, always on the tube, trying to make a living. Never gonna freaking stop, no way. And nobody.
Finally, we have our Banku and Okra stew ready, and I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something new. Thank you all for watching today's video. You're all invited, by the way. It's still your favorite girl, SHEJACKIESAYS, your hostess with the mostest, bringing you the hottest and the juiciest, and I am out. Peace, guys.
With the strength of a woman, SHEJACKIESAYS. With the strength of a woman, SHEJACKIESAYS. With the power of a woman, SHEJACKIESAYS. Everywhere she goes, every